Come for a Jason Statham action movie. Leave with a new appreciation for not having to deal with a shark the size of a couple of school buses when you go in the ocean. These creatures might not rise up and take over the world if they appeared today, but they definitely turn more than a few environments into their private playgrounds. 2018's The Meg is a schlocky action movie that you might enjoy watching if you turn your brain off for a while, but it does help us drive home a key point. Megalodons were big, really big.
We think roughly between 15 and 18 meters is the likely size for Megalodon. That's roughly double the size of a bus.
Believed to have been the largest fish that ever existed, Megalodons weighed as much as 75 tons with a length between 40 and 60 feet, and were estimated to be at least 3 times bigger and 30 times heavier than the average great white shark. So eat your heart out, Jaws. As if being bigger wasn't enough, scientists believe it also may have had a higher average body temperature than great whites, which would have made it faster, able to swim deeper, and have a wider diet, all of which would have decimated our already fragile oceanic ecosystems. Before going extinct around 3.6 million years ago, the Megalodon may have enjoyed a lengthy reign as the king of Earth's oceans, possibly even up to 20 million years. Scientists believe it may have been warm-blooded, letting it adapt to more tropical waters, but at a significant cost. Maintaining that higher body temperature meant it needed massive amounts of food, and its prey resources could have diminished due to climate shifts and changing oceanic currents. Or maybe the caveman equivalent of Jason Statham took them all out. Only time will tell. It was no King Kong, but it was the closest we ever got. In southern China during the Pleistocene period, there lived an absolute unit of an ape known as the Gigantopithecus. This hairy giant is considered to be the largest primate ever, growing as tall as 10 feet and weighing up to a staggering 660 pounds. At least that's what we think. In truth, we don't actually know how big Gigantopithecus got because we only have mandible and teeth fossils. But that's somehow still enough for scientists to draw firm conclusions about its lifestyle and appearance. The structure of the mandible tells us that it had a powerful jaw, which would have been helpful since it likely fed on a diet that consisted mostly of bamboo. So it may not seem like much of a threat if one appeared today, but to feed that big body, the amount of food it would need to consume would decimate modern forests. It may have died out anywhere from 215,000 to 100,000 years ago due to climate change destroying its habitat. If the saber-toothed tiger, or Smilodon if you're feeling fancy, popped up in today's world, it would immediately slot into a spot near the top of the food chain. Scientists believe the Smilodon was a fantastic ambush predator able to take down prey as large as mastodons, early ancestors to the modern-day elephant. The Smilodon had a unique skull shape that allowed stronger neck muscles to evolve, which may have helped it hold on to larger animals. Its mouth was straight up terrifying, with jaw muscles that could stretch and let it open its mouth up to 90 degrees, showing razor-sharp molars and canine teeth as long as 8 inches each. Plus, its short, powerful legs gave it the ability to run in bursts as fast as 30 miles an hour, so it could even chase down Usain Bolt if it felt like having an Olympic champion for dinner.
Then it would have used its sabers like blades to slice open the soft flesh of its victim's throat.
Current fossil records show the Smilodon may not have been flying solo most of the time. It appears that it both lived and hunted in packs, which only further helped it dominate its territory. Smilodon went extinct a mere 10,000 years ago, which means it was around long before humans migrated worldwide and may have competed with our ancestors for food. Their exact cause of extinction is up for debate, but either way, we're just happy that nowadays we can make an order at the drive-thru without having to fend off a pesky Smilodon. That's right, y'all, herbivores can be destructive too. With its large size and potential for quick bursts of aggression, the woolly mammoth was a handful for early humans to take on. They needed massive amounts of food to nourish their 12-foot-tall, 8-ton bodies, and could have destroyed forests all over today's northern hemisphere by turning them into their own personal salad bar. While they weren't competing with early humans for food, fossil records show male mammoths had periods of extreme aggression that would have made them quick to use those sharp tusks if the situation called for it. When it comes to their extinction, climate change rears its ugly head again, with the majority of the population dying out around 10,000 years ago, likely due to a warmer climate than they could handle. Some may have held on until only 5,600 years ago, though, eventually succumbing to a lack of water in their former drinking holes and dying of thirst. We now introduce you to the big daddy of snakes, the Titanoboa. Reaching 48 feet in length and weighing up to 1.25 tons, Titanoboa is not only considered the largest of any snake that ever lived, but also the largest predator of the Paleocene epoch.
Anacondas are the largest snakes alive today, but their vertebrae are dwarfed when placed next to that of the Cerrejón monster.
Despite its astonishing size, Titanoboa could sneak with the best of them, as it was an excellent ambush predator that could hunt on both land and underwater. Its adaptability and diet would destroy its modern-day South American habitat quicker than you can try and forget that you now know this monster once existed. Titanoboa could consume crocodiles whole, crushing its prey with its massive muscular body the way modern constrictors do. It reigned over what's believed to be the first ever tropical rainforest for around 2 million years. Since it was cold-blooded and needed lots of heat to stay alive, the warm temperature of its habitat and ample food supply gave it the perfect opportunity to grow and thrive. It also helped that the Paleocene era was about 10 degrees warmer than today. But despite temperatures rising again, a Titanoboa comeback may be the one thing that could unite humanity in its effort to keep it from slithering back. Possibly the largest flying animal we know of to ever exist, the Quetzalcoatlus stalked its hunting grounds in modern-day Texas. Any prey hoping to hide from the pterosaur was often out of luck, as a Quetzalcoatlus was capable of arcing its neck 180 degrees, giving it the ability to see all around it. Were it alive today, there are just too many unknowns about its behavior to be sure if it could live alongside modern-day animals. Its impressive predatory capabilities could have the potential to cause an ecosystem collapse, with it being able to devour a majority of the small prey that other predators rely on for survival. Quetzalcoatlus lived during the Cretaceous period, and paleontologists believe it stood around 12 feet high, weighed up to 550 pounds, and had a wingspan as wide as 36 feet. Whether or not it could actually fly, however, is up for some debate, due to just how massive it was, but its hollow bones and leg muscle build could have given it a leap as high as 8 feet, which leads some to think flight was possible. Regardless of the way it hunted, Quetzalcoatlus used its sharp beak to grab its prey and swallow it whole. It most likely went extinct during the KT boundary around 65 million years ago. With our next creature, you might think to yourself, it's just a bird, how much damage could it do? But with a nickname like the Flying Tiger, the answer is more than you think. Haast's eagle is the largest eagle that ever lived and was one of the few animals on this list suspected of having hunted humans. It died out a mere 600 years ago, which we're sure the human population of New Zealand is thankful for. Haast's eagle had a wingspan 10 feet wide and thick muscular legs that held long razor-sharp talons. It primarily hunted moa, a bird similar to emu that could weigh as much as 440 pounds, though it was also happy to snack on other flightless birds, and potentially humans. Once it caught its dinner, Haast's eagle would deliver a killing blow with its thick beak and begin eating its prey's insides, similar to modern-day vultures. It seems that humans and Haast were common enemies, as we have tools made from their bones. Despite being an uncomfortably recent apex predator, Haast's eagle couldn't survive the changes to its habitat caused by humans. Once humans killed off the last of the moa species, Haast's eagle couldn't find enough food to survive. Have you ever looked at a crocodile and wished it was 23 feet long and had long legs that gave it the ability to run so fast it would tire out its prey? The answer is no, because no one would ever wish that nightmare into a reality again. The horror story that is the Quinkana was so good at hunting on land that it lived in woodlands and not the water. Today's crocodile have teeth that are meant for holding on to prey while being dragged underwater, whereas Quinkana's teeth were like serrated knives designed to tear its prey to pieces. If it lived today, it would be an absolutely devastating predator, but at least it'd be kept to the place where all other terrifying creatures live, Australia. These creatures were one of the last surviving land crocodiles, dying off around 40,000 years ago. It may have been around to see the first humans migrate to Australia, but paleontologists don't believe there was enough overlap for one species to affect the other, which is good, because if they'd crossed paths, there'd likely be no such thing as Australians. It most likely died out during a time when Australia became incredibly arid, leading to a destruction of its woodland habitats through water evaporation, increased fires, and a collapse of the local food chain. Alright everyone, there's good news. We don't have to focus on the terrifying thought of a 23-foot-long crocodile, because now we're moving on to a 50-foot crocodile. Weighing in at 7.7 tons, Deinosuchus would lie in wait in swamps and use its 6-inch razor-sharp teeth to take down its prey. Scientists believe that it was so powerful it could easily take down dinosaurs multiple times its size. But if it was alive and thriving today, it would actually be more likely to kill us by drowning us out, as the sheer volume of water needed to maintain a population would cover major swaths of the United States. During the time of its reign, North America was divided in half by a shallow sea called the Cretaceous Seaway, and Deinosuchus lived on both sides. Paleontologists aren't sure what caused the Deinosuchus extinction, but it seemed to disappear before the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs came. Too bad for the dinosaurs, as the sight of a Deinosuchus would have likely scared that asteroid right off.
40 million years ago, Basilosaurus was the apex predator of its day.
Okay, let's move on from monstrous reptile crocodile ancestors to an ancestor of the modern-day whale, the gentle giants of the sea. This creature wasn't exactly gentle, though it was giant. Approximately 37 million years ago, the Atlantic Ocean and what's now known as the Mediterranean Sea were teeming with what all the other sea creatures at the time would surely consider their personal boogeyman, the Basilosaurus. Looking like a combination of snake and crocodile, the creature could grow up to 70 feet long with a mouthful of blade-like teeth that sheared through its prey with ease. If it lived today, the volume of food it would need would mean a total collapse of the oceanic food chain. It had a bite force that could crush the bones or shells of its food like they were potato chips, feasting on other whales, sea cows, turtles, and sharks. That's right, if sharks ever made their version of Jaws, it would be about a Basilosaurus attacking innocent sharks on their summer vacation. Basilosaurus went extinct during an abrupt cooling of Earth's climate, which disrupted ocean currents around 34 million years ago. This may be the only time ever that people should be thankful for climate change.